Hello. Well, I want to say that you should get an award for being the most dedicated and staying until the end. So I think we should just say congratulations to each other for your dedication, and just whenever you go home, my award will be there just waiting for you. Well, it is a pleasure to introduce myself. I am Claudia Mirza, and I have the pleasure to share the podium with my co-panelists. We are basically, I agree to begin this, and one of the things is, Claudia Mirza, I am an entrepreneur. I started the company, a group of 6 companies, 16, 17 years back. It's called Accorbi Group of Companies, and we are in language technology and healthcare. Accorbi is one of the fastest growing woman-owned businesses in the United States. Has been for several years in the Inc. 5000 list. And I am very proud, and also very proud to share some of the findings for trying to grow myself personally, and also trying to get our company to evolve. And one of the first things, it is values. If you have a company's culture, your culture, you will not be able to spread culture if you don't have values. It is an important foundation of any culture. Your team has to adapt to a culture. Therefore, you need to have very strong values that you can follow. You need to have guidelines in order to be able to run your team. Another thing that I would like to mention, it is, let's travel to the journey of managing an animal. I don't know, any of you had pets at home? Dogs? Okay, let's think about this. Think about, you go to your dog and you tell your dog, "Oh, Froggy, can you please sit?" The dog will never listen to you, okay? So you have to have the poise and the decor and demeanor to be able to lead. The same thing is happening to my horse. Whenever I am a horse rider, and whenever I am decomposed, whenever I'm nervous, all that energy is traveling to my horse. Whenever the horse is uncomfortable, that energy is traveling back to me. So think about, if you are managing people, you have to have the composure and the decor to manage that team. You have to be in control. So from the attitude, from being organized, from being respectful, to being kind, you have to be at the service of that team. The same thing, the reason why I'm talking about animals is because I want to show you the comparison. We are all animals, but the humans are more advanced. So what I want to tell you also, it is also about micromanagement. Whenever I'm riding my horse, if I put a lot of force in the rein, I'm holding his mouth, he's uncomfortable, he's looking. Whenever I release the reins, he doesn't know what to do. But if I have the right contact with my horse, he knows that I'm taking care of him, but that horse can do whatever task he's supposed to because I am giving him the independence. I have never seen a team that is successful being micromanaged. I have seen the biggest failures and the most frustrated team members whenever you are micromanaging people. If you micromanage, you don't let people grow. Another component, it is that I see some of my team members, they come to a meeting without control of their time. Time is controlling them. People are decomposed. People are badly dressed, disorganized, and they are expecting you to sit at a meeting and take care of people. people lose respect. It's like going to my horse, also be composed. That horse will not be able to have that connection with me. The other thing is that for those of you who are managing businesses, a team, good people, drive profitability and drive financial performance. If you don't have a good team, you will never reach the financial performance that you are requesting. A good team equals profitability and equals success. If you don't have the right balance, you will never be able to reach that. Another thing is that I see a lot of leaders in my team being arrogant about their title, I'm your boss. No, I am teaching my leaders humility. You are working for your team, you are facilitating the success of your team, you are not dictating and you are not working, they are not working for you, you work for them. So it is about being able to serve your team so you can enable them to be successful. The other thing is that we operate a lot in fear. I see my husband, he's my partner in the business, and he gets so attached to people. Oh, what about if he leaves? This is going to be a horrible thing. It is okay. It is okay. Because I'd rather sometimes have an empty seat than a bad performer. It's better to have an empty seat than a bad performer. And I don't know if you guys can relate to what I'm saying. The other thing that I would like to say is that I want for you to pay attention to this analogy. Every single thing in business, it is about having a good leader. If you have a bad team and a good leader, I promise you, you will be able to fix that team. But if you have a good team and a bad leader, that team is not going to go anywhere. So everything is about the leader. You have to have good team players to be able to accomplish a goal, but you have to have a leader that is going to inspire and create that trust. You were talking about trust. And trust is a very important thing. If that horse doesn't trust me, he will never follow me. The other thing is that do not expect everybody to be a leader. I have put people in leadership positions and they failed, but they were good employees. They were good team members. They are great individual contributors. Painters, they are great doing their own things. Scientists, they can be doing great scientific experiments on their own. So if you are not running a big team, don't expect that you are a failure. You can be a great individual contributor, a writer. You don't need to be a leader to be a writer. You can be writing on your own, and create amazing masterpieces. So do not expect everyone to be a leader. And it's also your job to discover their talents and to discover their strengths. Teach people cause and effect. Teach people that if I release these reins, this is going to be their reaction. People will be empowered to operate on their own. And basically, one of the best books that I have read in my professional life has been Strength Finder. I highly recommend that book. And another thing, every single person in your team is different. Learn to fall in love with the strength of each team member and appreciate their differences. So that is it for now. I would like to give to my co-panelists the floor.
Thank you very much, Claudia. It does not do anything that I ask it to do. My name is Deb Ray. I'm a consultant, an author and a coach from Australia, and I have a background in community development work. I have a Master's in Social Administration, majoring in community development, which is about working with communities, working with teams and individuals from a grassroots approach. So it's about supporting people to be able to achieve their own goals in the way that they want to achieve them. And I'd like to talk with you today about a particular project that I've been working on that fits as an example of what we can do when we're trying to create a collaborative thinking team. I'd like to start by giving you an example of, in my own life, when I've seen that this hasn't worked. And that's from when I was a young girl and a teenager, and I was learning ballet dancing. And as you know, young girls, when they're in their tutus and their beautiful pink costumes, as groups of ballerinas, they look absolutely beautiful and stunning, and people love to watch them. But in actual fact, there are all kinds of things happening within that team of ballerinas. We might look great on stage, but in actual fact, there could be lots of competition between all of us. Everyone wanted to win. And if we had a chance to win on a different team, we would swap teams very quickly and go and be part of another team. And we didn't necessarily trust each other because we knew that this was happening in between all of the girls on the team. So I started to think about it, well, if we're working collaboratively, how is that different? What's happening when we're trying to work as a collaborative thinking team? And for me, collaboration is when people are working together on a shared goal, and that shared goal should be more important than what we're trying to achieve as individuals. But the reality that I see in organisation is that people want that. They do have a shared goal, but they experience all kinds of barriers in being able to achieve that. So it doesn't actually happen all that effectively. And the kinds of barriers that I see is that they are competitive, that they're often thinking about what's happening for them. And being able to put down your own individual needs and say the group needs are more important requires that we have a level of vulnerability. And that can be alien to people. They're not used to having to do that. It requires that we think in a different way and that we have to do things differently. We have to be able to show weakness. We have to be able to be wrong sometimes and take risks that can be scary. And also people just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to be collaborative. In Australia, we call this, particularly when we see it in organisations, we call it organisations working in silos. When we have lots and lots of big silos, but they don't connect anywhere. There's no networking between those silos. So people will tell you that they're working in collaboration, but in actual fact, they're working in very different spaces. And often I work with a lot of not-for-profit organisations, non-government organisations, and those organisations are funded independently, and they have to compete with each other for funding. But then the government at the same time will ask them to work collaboratively. So they're being asked to do two completely different things at the same time, which of course they find very difficult. So a team that I've been working with around developing a space where they can work truly collaboratively is with a project around suicide prevention. I come from a fairly small town in the north of Australia, and in that town there is a very high suicide rate. So the town has come together to develop a plan around how we can reduce the amount of suicide in our community. So my task as a community development worker was to bring 17 people together to write the plan for the community. And we had 5 months to do this. So they are people from government, from the hospital in the town, from the education department, very small, tiny volunteer organisations, people who represent men, who represent people who are transgender, a whole range of different people who came together to be able to write this plan. And sometimes most of these people didn't even know each other. So there were all kinds of issues around how do we do this. Everyone in that team was very passionate around the same goal of reducing suicide in that community, but everyone had very different ideas about how that could be achieved. So we had to find a way to be able to engender trust between each of those people so that the project could be successful in the long term. This wasn't a project that we would do for a few months. This is a project that will go on for years and years. So we had to make sure that these people could truly collaborate, and that required that they develop some trust in each other. So I had to support the people in that group to do two things. One was to have a plan for how we can reduce suicide, but the other one was how do we work together? How do I change the way that they think so that we can continue to do this together? And that was about changing attitudes, which came from changing very small ways that people acted together. So part of the things that we did, and it was about me modelling them sometimes, was about making mistakes. I made mistakes, and I made it very obvious to everyone that I had made a mistake and said, this is what we can learn from that mistake. I pointed out when people were doing something well. I identified the strengths of each of the players in that room. So there's a very large hospital representative, so they have excellent procedures and they have very high standards. So we would use those strengths. There were tiny little volunteer organisations who could get things done very quickly, could make decisions very quickly, and could rally lots of people from the community, lots of community members in a very short space of time. That was a great strength. So it was about bringing all of those together and encouraging all of those people to be able to see that in each other. That took a lot of energy and a lot of time because people weren't necessarily willing to do that. They weren't willing to be vulnerable. They didn't want anyone else to know that they didn't have all of the answers. They wanted their answers to be the only answers. So it was about creating a space where we could start to share that. And one of the particular projects that we did was a media campaign around Christmas time, where we talked about the importance of knowing what's happening for your family and your friends in Christmas. You know, most Australians are Christian, so Christmas is the main celebration. So we had in that campaign a very small community organisation, and we had the large hospital organisation. And I had to keep reminding them about the fact that we have a lot in common, that for all of us this is about keeping people safe over Christmas. We all have that common goal, and we need to put aside our differences. It's actually not about us. It's all about the common goal that we're sharing together. And when it comes down to it, the bottom line, the baseline about what we're trying to do is to respect each other. When I could get those organisations to understand that they brought value to the group, that there was that they all had something to contribute, then that respect developed and the group was able to grow. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that for me, when we're working with teams, there are two main outcomes that we're trying to achieve. One is the actual outcome for the group, and that might be that you're building a widget, that you're repairing some machinery, or that you're writing a suicide prevention plan. That's one of your outcomes. The other outcome is, how do we work together? How do we build trust and build respect within our team so that we can truly collaborate together and create something that will be sustainable in the long term? Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Vinaka. So, and who here would like to have a team who can actually work together like a dream team? And who here would like to have a team which actually contributes to the community, not only to yourself? Okay, and you must be thinking, why am I talking about collaborative thinking and collaborative team? Let me take you back to 1990. Have you ever been in a situation where you have to get all your resources together to be able to be alive? Have you ever been in a situation where you have to share every resource you have as a team and be there to work together in a fearful situation, fearing for death, being tired, and walk through the jungle for 10 days so that we all can get out of there alive? That's what I had to go through in 1990 during the Sri Lankan War, when I had to walk through the jungle and actually we lost a team member. Not even a foot to my right, she got killed. But life goes on, eh? I'm still here standing. What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. Okay, let's get back to, so that's my story. And so what is a team? For me, team is together everyone achieves more. Individually, we are strong, but together we are even stronger. So it's really important as a leader for you to understand that each person in your team brings strength. Each person in your team is creative. If you want creativity, innovation, success, there's no way you can work alone yourself. You have to work together. It goes without saying. So, I believe in servant leadership as a model. So, leadership has evolved a lot. Initially, people thought leaders are born, not made. And then we thought we have to lead from the front and everybody will just follow us. And now, the thinking is either you have to lead from the center or actually you become the servant for your team. You are behind, inspiring them, motivating them, educating them, and encouraging them. And that's when your team really thrives. It makes so much difference when your team is actually inspired and motivated. And I would say the recipe of success really lies there. So what do you do? Where do the corrective work start? I would say it's at the recruitment stage. You could get the right person. Each one of us, including the leaders, the organization, we all have strengths and weaknesses. But if we don't give the right job to the right person and assign the right task to the right person, they would still might not be as productive as they can be. So as a leader, it's your responsibility to find out their strengths, their weaknesses, and match them properly so that they can be as productive as they can. So, what is your dream team like? Why do people hide failures? I think it's all lies on us. So, you want the team member to be diligent. You want the team member to be dedicated. You want the team member to be decorous. But what are we putting back? As a leader, it's more important what you give to the team rather than what the team is really giving to you. I believe if you construct a team based on trust, forgiveness, openness, transparency, and inspiration, they will work for you. You don't have to say anything. I had run my own dental practice for 13 years, and I can really tell you that happens. I was off for 6 months once on sick leave, and I didn't even go into the practice once, and they just ran the practice themselves. So if you inspire them and motivate them, they will work for themselves. That's all you have to do. And recognize them. Every small success in the right direction is a success for your team. If it's aligned with your purpose, it is success for everyone. But celebrate it, recognize it, reward it. And when you reward it, everyone is not after the same thing. Or shall we say, everything doesn't motivate everyone. For some people, it is money. For some people, it's just praise. For some people, it's just time off to spend with their family or go away. So recognize, understand each member of your team, and then give them what they want. And that's kind of creates success. So coming from a medical background, I can't think a better way to look at team rather than a body. Each part of your body has a function. The leader might be the brain who thinks about all the great ideas. your manager might be the heart, without which the organization cannot run. But imagine having the body run just with the brain and the heart. You cannot do it. So you need every single organ. The maintenance is like a kidney. And liver is like an operational team. Endocrine system, where the hormones are all over the place, that is the thing you need to risk manage it, to control it. So, okay, so let's say everything is working perfectly. Even if it does work perfectly, if it doesn't work in sync, if it doesn't work in unison, if it doesn't go in the same direction, you would never have a healthy body. You will just have a body, functioning body. And that's the same with the team. For the team to be perfect, for the team to be successful, as a leader, you have to let them know what's your vision, what's your purpose. There are always 3 questions for every organization: what, why, and how. So, what is your what? What do you want to achieve? Why do you want to achieve it? And how are you going to get there? When you breed clarity, everyone wants to know what they're doing, why they're doing it. When you give it to them, they then understand, and it's so much easier for them to shoot the ship in the same direction. So, as a leader, it is our responsibility to do that. So, where do you start? We always have to understand where the problem lies. And like the previous speaker said, shame and blame culture doesn't help anyone. So we have to think, what is causing it? What can we improve as a team? And the statistics say 1% of the best companies in the world, they take 20% of their best team and always ask questions. What do they want to achieve? And when you do that, and when you include the diversity and inclusion, it doesn't mean just the age or just the race or how educated you are. It's all from all the backgrounds, from every single community, women and men together, young and old. Then you are thriving because there's creativity and there's innovation. So when you bring all these together, and there is trust, there is forgiveness, and there is clarity, you will thrive. Any questions? Thank you very much for listening to me.
Very much.
That was a beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
I just want to align with what you just said about recognition. One of the best books that I have also read in my life, I highly recommend for all your human relationships, is called 5 Love Languages. It's a very short book, but it's the best thing that you are going to do for your life, is to read that book. And I don't know if you probably read that book that you were talking about appreciation.
I haven't.
But I mean, appreciation is free. You don't need to spend money to appreciate people. So align with appreciation. That book is going to help you significantly in all your human relationships. Questions. I just wanted to make sure that, how are we doing with time? Okay. Questions?
Any questions, guys? Yeah?
That's a good question. What your thoughts are on teams that have, say, 3 generations of people in it?
Yeah.
17 to 70.
Of course.
That's the thing. In your experience, how does this play out, or what are things you need to be careful of?
Okay. I think in my experience, young and the old bring their own strengths and weaknesses, first of all. And we blame the millennials sometimes, saying, oh, they don't work as hard, or they don't know. It's not true in my experience. They bring so much of new thought. And in my, at least in my organization, I've seen they bring so many ideas which is outside the box, which we wouldn't even dream of. And hats off to them. And like you said before, I was listening to you speak, they are never shy to voice it. That's the strength. And technology, they're born with technology. They just live and breathe it. So I would say, if the youngsters are there, make the most of them. Get them in. And there is a place for experience. That's where the older generation comes. Of course, they can probably teach the human touch and the feelings and the networking for the younger generation. I think that's what they need. And definitely the young generation can help the Generation X for sure with technology and moving forward and voicing their opinion. And then we have the middle generation, the Generation Y, neither here nor there. But I think the good thing is, we kind of imbibe on both, and I think what we are good at is imbibing. We are like lifelong learners. We want to learn always. So that's our strength. I think imagine a team which has all the three elements in it. So it's all about how we work it. I think there's nothing which will work for you. You have to put that effort to work in the environment. That's my answer, really.
I was just going to say, I have also worked when there have been younger members of the team, and I have often seen that older generation don't respect the younger team members, and I encouraged the younger team members to ask the silly questions, the questions that no one wants to ask, that they're thinking anyway, and they're very happy to just ask them. And then everyone was thinking the same thing, so the question gets answered. And also the older person, they knew the answers and they got the respect because they were able to answer that question and share their experience with everyone else in the team. So I think it matches with what you're saying as well,
course,
about
yeah.
making sure that you're using the strengths of everyone in that team to the best advantage for everyone.
I will a combined question to all. I don't know who to answer. I'm facing this particular problem with somebody in my team. I guess a millennial, end of 80s, beginning of 90s. Paul,
End of 80s to 90s, 30s.
okay, something. So millennials, that's what we call. But the problem that I've faced in the last 2 years, and I've been struggling all kinds of communication to make her work and be productive enough. Giving targets doesn't help, pushing too much doesn't help, giving too much freedom doesn't help, giving the right kind of advice and guidance and then just leaving her to do things her way. But definitely you need to inculcate a habit of getting some deadlines and meeting up with the required things. I mean, I can't leave things on her. She's not dependable. How do you really, this one person, and it's never been that I've kind of pushed somebody out of the team like that,
Yes.
and it feels, you feel bad about it, that what's gone wrong, where?
So it's reliability. Isn't it?
Well, but I want to say one thing. Is that person a family member? Yes or no? Then fire her. No, but this is the situation. There are people that are not going to work for your organization. You are not here to be a savior of people. If the person, as I mentioned earlier, it's better to have an empty seat, but take the time just to let go and let that person go find somebody else, because it's draining your energy. It's draining the energy around you and all the team members. So it is fair that after you have given so much opportunities to that person, for that person to go and find a better place in another company.
I would slightly take a different approach to it. I feel it's about finding their motivating factor, I would say. I'm not saying you haven't done it all, but sometimes speak to a team member, your team, who gets along with them, who can connect with them. Sometimes in NLP and therapy they say, sometimes people speak different languages. So it might be that person doesn't understand our language. Provided the work is done, for me, it doesn't really matter who says it. So it might be if you can get a team member who can approach it much better at her level, it might get you. I'm not saying it will, but I would give it a go every single resource I have before letting someone go. Because once they change, you would really benefit from them. That's my take on it.
Jenna, on that, if I may, like, what you say, you're really practice on, but we also have learned in our experiences that some people really difficulty understanding instructions because they have some inherent learning difficulties that we've not been able to identify. The small entrepreneurs and businesses do not have the resources to do that. However, there is help available to actually try and see that. It's also a social stigma. You can't go to someone and say, hey, look, you've got a learning disability. You're autistic. You know, they're not going to take on board. So it can be a very challenging. But yeah, I mean, if the person has even something good, there's that line, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can't change the people, change the people. So, you know, I get that.
Yes, done.
I have a team member. She's about 31, and she has demonstrated some of the qualities that you've talked about. And one of the things that I've done with her is that we just have a very simple chart that lists the jobs that she's involved with and what actions she needs to take in the day. And so I never say anything to her. She fills this out and emails it to me every day because we don't work in the same space. And I find that that's enough. She has enough control over the work without feeling like it's micromanaged. But I can also see what she's doing, and I can tell when things aren't happening. And I try to give her, as you said, if she has tasks that she's not interested in, they don't get finished.
Sure.
So I help her she identifies tasks that she's good at and that she can achieve in and that she likes doing. And I have identified she's not very good at writing, her spelling, and there are some definite deficits. So she does all of the jobs that require speaking and being face to face with customers. And it's been a process. And if none of those things have worked, we would have said, well, this doesn't seem to be the place for you. You're not happy here. You probably need to look for somewhere else. So it has been a process of trying to identify what does motivate her and what is she really good at, and trying to see how we can make that work.
I've actually done this. So we have a Google Sheet now,
Yeah.
in which the only thing is I've not given her the liberty to add the tasks.
Yeah.
Because I tell her what to do and I give her a deadline.
Yeah.
And then rest of the things, which date has he actually finished, if she's been able to, or does it get delayed, and if it gets delayed, what's the reason?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's constantly, I keep checking it, but I don't ask her day in and day out.
Yeah.
And I've done it 2 months, it's not very effective with us. And I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to recommend a resource. You can
Yeah.
have your employee take a test called a COBE test.
Yeah, I got to do it.
Have you ever done that? So it's KOLBE, the
Yeah.
test.
That's very
And
good.
it would
We do it in our business.
identify their strength. So let them work to their strength and not try to fill in their weakness. And sometimes you may have the right people on the bus, but they're in the wrong seat.
However, I want to say one thing, and you can do this experiment. There are people that are very unhappy people altogether. Even if you dress in a pumpkin suit and you put a clown nose and you start dancing in front of them, they will still be unhappy and make everybody unhappy.
Oh yes, dead weight.
You do the experiment. There are people that are internally unhappy and they don't want to do it. So one of the biggest failures and regrets that I had is that I had taken too long to make a change. And that costed me a lot of money. So I love my people. I had people that have been with me since we started the company. But we also need to learn to move faster and so we can go back into it is a distraction, so let's get back to business as quick as possible.
I have a suggestion. So I have a small team that I manage called government relations. So we deal with different levels of government, and 2 out of 3 employees are millennials on that team. And I've managed a lot of teams where the folks are quite young. And so one of the things I realized is, because I have young sons myself, is that their brains are wired very differently. And one of the things that they inherently cannot stand is somebody laying out for them what they should be doing. Because their brains are not wired that way. So the example I would give you is, this is like me
getting an iPhone for my 19-year-old and telling him, sit down better, I'll teach you how to use the iPhone. It's not going to work. Because their brains are wired to understand the world and figure out a way to get into that world. So very, through some one or two tough experiences, I realized that the change is not needed at their end, it's needed at my end. So I came up with this idea because as far as I'm concerned, you can sit in your pajamas in your kitchen and do a project for me. I just want to see a high quality end product. And I want to meet my deadlines and I want to get repeat work as a project lead. So what I came up with is basically every Monday, I sit with my team and I say, hey guys, what are we working on this week? And we pick the top deliverables. And then on a Google Sheet, we start co-creating what task we need to do to get to the deliverable. And then I say, go away to your desks, talk amongst yourself. I don't care who does what, but against each task, there should be a need. So what I found is, between these millennials especially, there was a high level of talent sharing. So the person who I hired to do, say, project tracking, hated project tracking. The friend did the project tracking, and then this person took something from that person's portfolio. End of the day, I got two very satisfied, highly engaged employees who got the job done. So in the beginning, it was so tough for me to let go of this need to sit down and say, you're going to do these 5 things, you're going to do the 5 things, deadline is Friday, I want to see it on Wednesday. Millennials don't give deadlines. You don't give millennials deadlines 2 days before the project. They do it on the last day. My son does his projects and submits it 10 minutes before the deadline. Because they need that rush. And then they perform. So I realized at 51, I realized, and this took a lot of reflection on my part, that the big changes, whether it's leading teams, managing teams, all that need to come from the adult side, the director or the ED, so I've learned to reframe it and say, hey guys, we need to accomplish this by Thursday 5 o'clock. What do we need to do? Can we put on the task? Who's going to do what? And then get it done. And in the end, celebrate that together. So this is a thought.
Yeah, I second so far, really. Because I think together is a magic word.
Amazing set of ideas that I've got, and
Together is a magic word. And when people own responsibilities, when they ask for the responsibilities, all the research points out saying they will do it. So rather than assigning a task, if they themselves pick the task, particularly with millennials like Suma said, they would most likely do it. So I think it's definitely worth doing.
They take the word boss, right? we were taught to revere bosses like they were gods.
absolutely.
For them, it's all about co-creation, co-management, coexistence. So that's where it is.
That's why collaboration is so
Yeah, collaboration, togetherness, that's what it works.
That's the key. And I think one example that you said that the leader most effective has to be thriving teams when the leader is behind,
Yes.
motivated.